Hey there. So, the IELTS Listening Test. Does it ever feel like this impossible code you just can't seem to crack? Well, if that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to hand you the keys to unlock that higher score.
I mean, does this sound like you? You're listening, you're trying to keep up, but you miss a key detail, and suddenly you feel like you're falling behind. Yeah, if that's you, trust me, you are not alone. It's known as one of the toughest parts of the exam for a very good reason.
But here's the good news. We've got the map. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down into a super clear, actionable plan that will have you listening with a whole lot more confidence. Let's do this. All right, first up, we're going to crack the listening code. The whole goal here is to really master this test, and we'll start by understanding exactly how it's built.
Which brings us right to Section 2. Let's go inside the test. See, before we can even talk about strategy, you've got to know the basics of what you're actually up against. So, what's the point of this whole thing anyway? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The test is designed to check how well you understand spoken English in two really different settings. You know, your everyday social chats, and then the more formal academic stuff. Okay, first key number you need to burn into your brain, 30 minutes. That's it. That's the total time you get for the audio. It is a half hour of just pure, intense focus, which means your pacing has to be on point.
Packed into that 30-minute window? You're looking at 40 questions. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but don't worry, they're broken down into much more manageable chunks. And here's how they do it. The test is split into 4 distinct parts, and each part has exactly 10 questions. Super consistent. The great thing about that is you always know what to expect structure-wise. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. You really need to understand the difficulty curve here. Think of parts 1 and 2 as your warm-up, right? They're all about everyday social situations. But then, boom, parts 3 and 4 are where the challenge really kicks in. We're talking academic lectures, discussions between students, much tougher stuff. Just knowing this helps you save up your mental energy for the second half. All right, so we know what the test is. Now let's get into the how. How do you actually beat it? Section 3 is all about sharpening your fundamental skills to build that solid foundation for success.
I want you to think of your prep as having 3 main pillars. We're going to tackle each one. First, building up your vocabulary. Second, making listening an active sport, not a passive one. And third, tuning your ear to all the different ways people pronounce things. So, let's talk vocabulary. The most important thing here is immersion. Seriously, don't just sit there memorizing boring lists of words. You gotta read, books, newspapers, whatever you can get your hands on. That shows you words in their natural habitat. Then, you can add in some targeted practice with apps or flashcards to really make them stick. Next up, let's turn that passive listening into active listening. What's the difference? Well, it means you don't just hear English, you really engage with it. So yeah, listen to podcasts, watch movies, maybe even try it without subtitles. But, and this is key, the absolute best practice you can get is using those official sample IELTS tests. That's what trains your brain for the real deal. And this brings up a huge point that a lot of people forget. The IELTS is a global test, right? That means you're not just going to hear one type of accent. You'll get British, American, Australian, you name it. There's only one way to get ready for that. You have to listen to a ton of different native speakers. Get your ear used to all the variations. Okay, moving on to Section 4, the test day mindset. Look, you can do all the prep in the world, but if your head's not in the right space on the day of the exam, it can all fall apart. Your mindset is just as crucial as your skills. On test day, it all boils down to 2 things. First, laser focus. You have to remember, that audio is only going to play one time. No replays, so block everything else out. And second, and this is a pro tip, use that little bit of time before the audio starts to read the questions. Why? Because that primes your brain. It tells it exactly what to listen for. I'm telling you, it is a total game changer. All right, we're at the home stretch. Section 5, your key to success. Let's pull all these different threads together and weave them into one powerful action plan.
So, here it is, your step-by-step plan. Number 1, build your vocabulary a little bit every single day. 2, make listening to English just a regular habit. 3, get your ear used to all those different accents. And finally, when test day comes, stay focused and trust all the hard work you've put in. That, right there, is your roadmap.
Look, if you only remember one single thing from our time together, Please let it be this. The source material could not be more clear on this point. There is absolutely no substitute for practice. The more you listen, the better you'll get. It's that simple. You'll feel more comfortable, more confident. It all comes from practice. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question. And I don't want you to think about next week or even tomorrow. I mean, right now, today. After hearing all this, what is the one single first step you are going to take to start your journey to mastering this test?